Question. So are you a Salafi? So this is a guy who doesn't know who he's talking to. Answer. If you are asking me if I follow the Salaf, the answer is yes. I can show you documentation from the Salaf for all of my beliefs and practices. However, if you are asking me if I go around calling myself a Salafi, the answer is emphatically absolutely not. This is something new, bid'ah. The authorities of the Salaf call themselves Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, not the Salafis. An example is Imam al-Tahawi, who's someone from the Salaf who called him and his group Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, not the Salafis. Imam al-Tahawi, he is from the time of the Salaf, and he said in his book about the Muslim creed, هذا ذكر بيان عقيدة أهل السنة والجماعة. He was from the time of the Salaf, yani. He didn't say, this is a clarification of the creed of the Salafis. He said, this is a clarification of the creed of Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Question, and who are the Salaf? So that's a Wahhabi asking you. It means, who do you think the Salaf are? Answer, the Salaf are the first 3 centuries after the Prophet's migration. They are the best centuries of Islam, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. The best of centuries is my century, then those who come after them, then those who come after them. Now, one thing you want to notice here, there's lessons here in these questions and answers. Notice that each time the answer comes to an end. When someone asks you a question, just answer his question. One brother, he was having a discussion, and he had some people in a chat. So one person asked him a question. It means this person was opposing him. So he contacted me. He said, what should I say? I told him, just answer his question exactly, directly. Answer him with a straightforward answer. Say this. So he did that. He answered him. So what did that person say? That person said, oh, okay. That's it. So then the brother asked me, he said, how did that even happen? How did that work? How do you knew that would work like that? So I told him, Yani, that's another issue. So here, there's an answer, stop. And don't even say anymore, especially if it's a debate. He asks you a question, answer his question with a clear answer, period, stop. Literally. Question. So then isn't it obvious from this hadith that you should be a Salafi and follow the Salafi da'wah? He's saying, you just brought the hadith yourself that proves that you should be a Salafi. The best of centuries is my century, then those who come after them, then those who come after them. Look how all what you just said didn't mean anything. So you expect that. Especially when you're dealing with a Wahhabi. But from anybody, expect it. When he asks you that, what do you do? Then you just bring him back. You already answered all of that. Bring him back. So, answer. Again, if what you mean by following the Salafi da'wah is following the scholars of the Salaf, then yes. If that's what you mean by Salafi da'wah, but that doesn't mean that one has to call himself a Salafi, because using this name is new. They called themselves Ahlus Sunnah. However, if what you mean by following the Salafi da'wah is following Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abdul Wahhab and Al-Albani and Ibn Baz and Ibn Uthaymeen and Fawzan and that circle of individuals, then none of them are from the time of the Salaf. And the hadith does not command us to follow them. Notice here, that circle of individuals, that's being polite. Because if you disparage those guys, that's the word that Wahhabis like to use, disparage. If you disparage those guys, then khalas, your discussion's over. So there's no need to disparage them. And we don't have to even praise them also. So we can just say something true. And that circle of individuals, there's no disparaging there. Then none of them are from the time of the Salaf, and the Hadith does not command us to follow them. If you think that they are the Salaf, we say to that person, if you think that they are the Salaf, then either you have been miseducated, or you have a misunderstanding, How could they be the Salaf when the earliest of all of these individuals is Ibn Taymiyyah? And he is from the late 7th century. Born 661 after the Hijrah, almost 400 years after the Salaf. It cannot be said that if someone does not follow these individuals that he does not follow the Salaf. Nor can it be said that because he follows them that he does follow the Salaf. It cannot be said that if someone does not follow these individuals, he doesn't follow the Salaf, Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abdul Wahhab and all of those. If someone doesn't follow them, he doesn't follow the Salaf. You can't say that. And it can't be said that because he follows them that he does follow the Salaf. Following the Salaf is by following the scholars of those first 3 centuries, not contradicting them and correcting them. Here, not contradicting them and correcting them, that's an insinuation there. That's an insinuation. So that is actually a disparaging there, but you can probably slide that one in. If anything, that'll make him ask you a question. It won't offend him, but it will make him ask you a question. Question. It is true that those people you just mentioned aren't the actual Salaf, but they are the modern Salafi scholars, meaning that they teach the way of the Salaf and according to the minhaj of the Salaf. Because that's how Wahhabis talk. The minhaj. Answer. This is your claim. But I guarantee you that we can easily produce the documents of the Salaf in almost all of the fundamental issues of what those people you consider to be the modern upholders of the minhaj of the Salafi believe, minhaj of the Salaf, of what those people you consider to be the modern upholders of the minhaj of the Salaf believe, and show you where those people you consider scholars contradict the Salaf. So you say all of that about those people, they are the modern scholars and they are the upholders of the minhaj and all of that. I can show you loads of documents where they contradict the Salaf. Question, like what? Answer, we can show you abundant documents from the famous undisputed authorities of the Salaf, saying explicitly that Allah exists without a place or a direction, like Abu Hanifa and Ali ibn Abi Talib, explicitly. That there are good innovations, like Ash-Shafi'i, explicitly. That tawassul is permissible, etc. This is the real minhaj of the Salaf, and it contradicts the foundation of what you call the Salafi da'wah. What you call the Salafi da'wah is to say Allah is in a place and in a direction. There's no such thing as good innovations. Tawassul is impermissible. Notice here, undisputed authorities of the Salaf. The undisputed authorities. When you have a discussion with someone or a debate with someone, always remember a fundamental rule. You cannot debate based on a disagreement. You cannot debate based on a disagreement. You have to debate based on an agreement. Meaning there has to be something upon which you agree, and then you disagree beyond that, so that you can always have something to refer back to. So you can't debate based on a disagreement in the first place. And I'm saying that to say what? Here, when it comes to individuals, or who's considered an authority, don't debate on that Wahhabi's terms, just like he won't debate on your terms. If you say Sheikh Abdullah said, or Al-Kawthari said, or Al-Ghumari said, he will not accept. Just like if he says Al-Albani said, and Fawzan said, etc., Ibn Taymiyyah said, we do not accept. So when you talk to him, you can't let him impose on you people that you don't accept as authorities. If you do that, you won't be able to win the debate. And remember, it's not your intention to win the debate. Your intention is to uphold the truth. But if you're speaking the truth, upholding the truth, and debating for the truth, then you do want to win the debate. So undisputed authorities, it means I can bring you people that you agree to, O Wahhabi. You so-called Salafi, what do you say about Ash-Shafi'i? Question. But if a scholar makes a mistake, we don't take it, even if he's from the Salaf. Answer. That is true, but these are not mistakes. The issues I just mentioned are what the Salaf were all together upon and consistently verifying. What is odd is that those people you think are modern scholars upholding the way of the Salaf have made it their business to correct the Salaf, to correct Imam al-Tahawi and al-Bukhari, to correct Imam Abu Hanifa and Ash-Shafi'i, and to correct even Ibn Umar and Aisha, all of whom are authorities of the Salaf, but they didn't find any mistake to correct from Ibn Abdul Wahhab. What did they correct from Al-Tahawi when Al-Tahawi said, Allah is not contained in the 6 directions? They checked him on that. What about Al-Bukhari? When Al-Bukhari explained the ayah, كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٌ إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ إِلَّا مُلْكَهُ. He said it doesn't mean except his face, it means except his dominion. They checked him on that. How about Abu Hanifa? Many things. Abu Hanifa was very explicit. They don't even like Abu Hanifa actually. Any Wahhabi who's a real Wahhabi, not an amateur Wahhabi who doesn't know all of what they really, really believe. He's not truly in. Any Wahhabi who's in, then he doesn't like Abu Hanifa, even if he doesn't show that. And when they reference Abu Hanifa, like when they say, look, Abu Hanifa said, we confess that Allah is over his throne. Or they say, look, Abu Hanifa said the hand of Allah is not his power and is not his care. In both instances, they only took a portion of his statement, and they know that, and they don't even like Abu Hanifa in the first place. In the same section where they took Abu Hanifa saying, we, according to them, they translated as, we confess that Allah is over the throne. He wasn't saying that. At the bottom of the paragraph, he says, if Allah was in need of the throne, then where was he before he created it? That's how dishonest they are. That's how much they respect Abu Hanifa. What about Ash-Shafi'i? He said that there's good innovations. What about Ibn Umar and Aisha? They used to do tawassul and tabarruk by the traces of the Prophet, among other companions. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa atba'ihim bil ihsani ajma'in. Question. So you're saying that I do not follow the Salaf? Answer. I cannot say what you follow as long as you don't show it outwardly. Now that answer there, that's being nice to him because we want to help him and we're trying not to offend him for no reason. Though me personally, I don't mind to offend a person, but you don't have to here. So we really didn't answer his question. Because no, we are saying you don't follow the Salaf. No, you don't follow the Salaf. But it's okay. Let's take it easy on this guy. We want to help him. So here, and this is not how we're going to, this is not a habitual way of answering questions. This is because we didn't answer his question here. In this case, we went around his question. But there was a reason for that. That was to keep him engaged. And because going away from his question here, or avoiding his question in this case, is not really being dishonest. I mean by that, it's not avoiding a vital point. Like when we ask them a question and they completely just try to dip out of our question. This is not really a relevant question. He's asking a question about himself. What are you saying? I don't follow the Salaf? Okay, let's be gentle with this guy here so we can help him out. Answer. I cannot say what you follow as long as you don't show it outwardly. So Allah knows best what you follow. By the way, the people who call themselves Salafis do not practice this matter that the Salaf practiced, which is to leave a person's belief between him and his Lord. Rather, it is enough for you to shave your beard or wear your pants below your ankle for them to label you, let alone showing the slightest non-compliance to their modern authorities. You show any hint of not having the utmost respect for their so-called modern authorities, they'll sniff it, they'll see it, they'll find it quickly. They'll look for all the signs. They know all the signs of a minion. So if you don't appear to be enough of a minion, if you think too much for yourself, then they're going to suspect you. The Salaf said that we leave people's inward matters to Allah, and that we do not charge them with blasphemy or hypocrisy as long as they don't show it. The scholar said that someone might be attributed to or affiliated with a deviant group while he does not believe what they believe, or he does not agree with all of their beliefs. However, if you say opposite to what I just mentioned about the Salaf's beliefs, then you certainly do not follow the Salaf. Here's also an indirect way of answering his question. It's a way for him to know the answer to his own question. If you say opposite to what I just mentioned about the Salaf's beliefs, then you certainly do not follow the Salaf. And that's a way of challenging his understanding. That statement there is going to make you see how much of what has already been said has even registered for this person. And I think if everything so far is clear, very little so far has registered for this person. Question. Then who follows the Salafi da'wah today? He's still asking about the Salafi da'wah. He didn't understand. We addressed that so many questions ago. Answer. I have already answered this question for you. The majority of the nation, Ahlus Sunnah, follows the Salaf, but that does not mean that we must call ourselves, or that they must call themselves Salafis. Rather, using the name Salafi Da'wah, or Salafiyah, or Salafiyun, or Salafi Minhaj, etc., to describe following Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abdul Wahhab and Al-Albani, etc., is a new idea, which makes it an innovation. We said all of that already. But we're going to be patient with this guy. We're going to correct our intention. Maybe, he obviously has some issue here, so maybe, inshallah, we'll see if we'll be able to help him by the end of the book. Subhanallah. Now you're interested, I hope. Is this guy going to be fixed or what? What's going to happen to this guy in the end? Let's see. Question. It is not new. You already agreed that we have to follow the Salaf. See, he's still stuck. He says, it's not new. You already agreed that we have to follow the Salaf. He's playing with your words. He's being stubborn. Answer. Please pay close attention to my words and do not only hear what you want to hear. I did not say that the salaf is new. I said that calling oneself a Salafi or a Salafi Muslim is new. The Salaf didn't call themselves the Salafis. Even the 4th century, the generation directly after the first 3, which are the Salaf, those first 3 are the Salaf. The 4th century, although they weren't following anyone but the Salaf, they didn't call themselves the Salafis. Are you, coming more than 1,000 years later, more deserving of the name than them? Are you following the first 3 generations more closely than the 4th? If they weren't Salafis, what makes you a Salafi? Nor did the people of the 5th century call themselves Salafis, nor the 6th, nor the 7th, nor the 8th, etc. Hundreds of years. Nobody's a Salafi. Maybe this trend started about only 50 years ago, if that. Maybe about 100. So it is new. It is an innovation, most definitely. Yani, don't back down here. It certainly is. Because here, actually, the Wahhabi, he knows that it's innovation. He wants to believe that it's not an innovation. SubhanAllah, someone recently reminded me of a saying, a proverb if you want, that the best liar is the one who believes his lie. I forgot that there's people who believe their lies. How are you going to know it's a lie and believe it at the same time? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So here, if you challenge a Wahhabi by telling him, well, this Salafi stuff, that's new, he's going to put up a big defense here. Especially since he thinks that he's upholding the way of the Salaf and the fighter of bid'ah, the warrior against innovations. I do not describe myself as a Salafi. That statement there means, the meaning of that statement is, I do not compromise, and I do not say what you would like to hear from me. I do not describe myself as a Salafi, just like the Muslims of old did not. But everything I believe and practice can be proven from the documents of the Salaf. Question. Untrue. I have seen plenty of quotes of the scholars of old who said that they are Salafis. There should be an exclamation point there. Answer, then produce them. That's important there, brothers and sisters. Don't ever be afraid to ask a person for his reference. Either he's going to give it to you or not. Like, one of the things that people do more often than not is they hear someone say something, and instead of asking him, where did he get it from, they go back to their teacher and ask, where did that guy get it from? Sheikh, where did the Wahhabis get saying such and such from? Why didn't you ask him? He was right there in front of your face. What are you going to say? Because he would have given me the answer? Actually, this is why you should ask this question, because many times they don't have an answer. Many times. Not just Wahhabi, any person. Any person. Most of the time, a person who's saying something doesn't have a reference. Not just that. Also, most of the time, the person who's arguing against you, he does what he's dispraising you for. And if you argue with him right, you'll be able to pull it out. He's doing just what he's saying you shouldn't be doing. Most of the time when you debate with someone, if you know how, you can, whatever it is they're saying to you, you can flip it right back on them. So you're doing that. Now, when I said that most of the time people don't have a reference, I mean most of the time, and I don't mean just Wahhabis. For example, let's say you had a discussion with someone about whether the earth is spinning or not. So you might say to a person, I never saw the earth spinning, and neither did you, and nor did anyone else. So someone might say to you, no, they have documented, they have the pictures, they have they. So you say to him, like who? That means you're challenging him now. Like who? Who has that? Who said so? Who saw that? He might say to you, are you serious? Like, yes, I'm serious. Of course I am. Why don't you go to the library and find out? You're the one who's making the claim. Who's they? You have no idea. You can't even tell me a single name. You're telling me everybody did it and you can't even tell me a single person. That's how it goes. So don't be afraid to ask a person for his reference in a debate. And don't be upset if he gives it to you. If he gives you a reference, then what do? Then you look at it. And then either you'll know the answer and you'll keep going, or you won't know the answer and you say to him, okay, I'll get back to you. I don't know the answer to this, I'll get back to you. That's it. So, he says, untrue. I have seen plenty of quotes of the scholars of old who say that they are Salafis. Excuse me. Answer, then produce them. Let's see what you have. No, what they said is that we must follow the salaf, not that they are the Salafis. Those are two different things. Okay, you said, how is tawatur different than what you are referring to? I didn't refer to tawatur. How did I refer to anything that's like tawatur? I didn't say anything that's like tawatur. You said, in that the globe is spinning, and that is something that is agreed upon by mass agreement, right? Most of the people agree on that. That's true. But they never saw that. Tawatur, one condition of tawatur is that the event be witnessed. So who witnessed that? They all agreed about something that nobody ever saw. And one of the, my terminology is a little bit crude, but one of the conditions for something to be scientific is that it be observable. You have to observe it. If you can't observe it, it's not even scientific. That's how also twisted those people are. That's how contradictory they are. That's one of their fundamentals. Observation. Same thing when it comes to evolution. They never observe that. They'll try to tell you they did. They'll try to tell you why everything they do amounts to an observation. And none of it is observation. They're the ones in the first place who said observation is a condition. And then they confirm stuff they never observed ever. Does that answer your question, or you have something afterwards? Tafaddal. That's why, brothers and sisters, don't argue with people by Western standards. Argue according to Islamic standards. Know how to determine what's true and what's false by Islamic standards, not by their standards, because they don't know how to determine what's true and what's false. You said yes, but to ensure we are making the claim that all evidence presented about the earth is false, correct? I didn't say that. What is all evidence? I didn't say that the earth is spinning. In the first place, all their evidence is false that the earth is spinning? Yeah, that's true. All of their evidence is false. That's true. But I didn't make that claim here. I didn't make that claim now. When you debate with someone, you be mindful of what you claim. Whatever it is that you claim, he then has the right to ask you to prove your claim. So if I was in a debate with someone about this and I never actually said all evidence presented about the earth spinning is false, if I never said that, then I won't even defend it. If he tries to make me defend that, I'll say I never said it. He says, but you said everything else. I don't care. Make me defend what I said. Don't make me defend what you infer from me. Stick to the words I said. I'll defend those. I'm not going to defend your synopsis of what I said. But it is true. What they all the evidence they presented about the earth spinning is false. That's true. I mean, but keep it simple. If it were me, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't say that, because you just opened a big wide door on yourself. I'd keep it very simple. I'd start from somewhere where they would think that I'm an absolute fool, but they're going to see who's the fool. I'll say very simply, well, you never saw that and nobody else did. They're going to be like, you ignoramus. That's your argument, that nobody ever saw it before? Ha! I'll say, yeah, well, I mean, isn't it part of the scientific method that to verify things scientifically, they need to be observed? And then from here, you will, like, it might look like you're climbing a mountain, you're going uphill battle. Even if you are, don't worry. If you do it right, you will absolutely dominate in the discussion. Most of my very successful debates, in my personal opinion, were ones that at first it seems like the guy is bombarding me and I have to get like over a big mountain. That, you don't have to worry about that. You know what that is? That's the guy showing you his hand. That's the guy exposing his hand to you, as they say, cut you call. That means his hand of cards. If he has cards and you don't know what he has, does he have aces? Does he have kings? In the debate, he wants to bombard you from the beginning. He gives you everything. And you keep it simple at first. You just answer all his questions and then you see all what he has. Right? If that were a fight, you took just a couple jabs, maybe a couple hooks. They didn't hurt too bad, really. You were just nervous in the beginning. You didn't know how hard he could hit or how soft he was. Now he just gave you everything he's got. After that, khalas. You win. You're going to win. Whether you take him out quick or you go the distance. I'd start right there. I'd say, you never saw that. I never saw that. And here, because he won't be able to disprove me here. It's true. No one ever saw that. And then I'll tell him, isn't it a condition? Isn't it part of the scientific method that things require to be deemed scientific? Observation? He has to say yes. Okay. Well, there's only 5 senses. So you didn't see it. What's left? Did you smell it? You smelled the earth going around in circles? You heard it? You tasted it? You felt it? No, you have nothing. No observation whatsoever. You have 0 observation. So how scientific is that in the first place? You said there's also deductive reasoning. Okay, but so what happened to observation then? Here, if he were to say to me, but there's also deductive reasoning, so my question is going to be, so what happened to observation? Is it out of the window now or what? It's not. Is it a condition or not? And I'm not going to let you go there. When you say deductive reasoning, because that's your way of trying to get away, not you. That's my opponent's way of trying to get out of my question without answering it. There's also deductive reasoning. Okay, we can come back to that. Let's finish answering this one first. Do you concede to that you've never observed that and no one else did and you can't prove it by observation? Yes or no? Do you concede to that? Yes or no? Then we can move on. He has to say yes. Or he might say, no, I don't concede that it's not observed. Then he's going to have to prove to me that it's observed. There's only 5 senses, so who saw it, who smelled it, who heard it, who tasted it, and who felt it? There's no other way to observe it. After that, there's no observation. He won't be able to prove that. It's just that the globe is great, and that, in fact, when in space observation is granted through satellite surveillance. Okay, they don't have that either. Do you have something? I'll ask him. Show me what you have. What is he going to show me? Yeah. What is he going to show me? Do you know? Do you have an idea? Okay. So, yeah, they don't have anything actually. So here, this is also a great example. Don't ever be afraid to ask a person for his reference. Say if he said that, oh, but they have the satellite surveillance. Show me. I said, well, what are you talking about? Show you? Are you serious? Absolutely. Of course I am. So well, you can look it up on YouTube yourself. Well, you show me. You're the one who said it's a proof. It's your proof. Show it to me. Which one? Maybe I'll look up a YouTube video that's not the one you're referring to. Which one are you referring to? He doesn't have anything. Nothing. And what do they have, though? What is it that they have from their satellites? They have photographs. They do not have any video of the Earth moving. Not that it's turning, they have no video of the Earth rotating or revolving. They have no video for rotation or revolution. Their satellites are taking pictures of the Earth below. It's like basically their satellites have a camera pointing down to the Earth, pointing down to the ground. That's what they have. And they have photos of the ground. And if they have anything that looks moving, then what it is the satellite moving. It's not the ground. The satellite is moving and not the ground, if it's moving. But they have plenty of still photos from satellites. What do the still photos prove? They don't even prove anything. Are the still photos accurate? They don't prove anything. What would they prove? Let's say they are accurate. What would they prove? He says, regards to understanding our own theology about the structure of the Earth is why I'm asking that question. Yes, that's fine. I don't mind you asking me. Like, don't take me wrong. I'm not fighting you. We're benefiting. Like, I'm just making this a mock debate, as if there was someone actually saying that to me, so that you could see how I would answer personally, and if I'm good with my answer, then you'll benefit, and maybe that will help you respond to someone. So if there were someone who said to me, so, well, are the photos accurate? I might say to him, if they are, then what would they prove? So what do you think he would answer to that? If those photos are accurate, what would that prove? You said it would prove that the possibility of the rotation of Earth is highly plausible. How would a still photograph prove that? The photograph of someone of the Earth not moving. How would a photograph of the Earth not moving? You said because the shape of the Earth facilitates that. So if there's a photograph, by the way, also you said, i.e. the theory of the Earth revolving around the sun would be seemingly plausible. So I will be honest with you. Maybe here you don't know how to argue their point, or maybe you do. If this is how any of them would answer that, then at this point here, I will be concerned. If I was debating with someone who answers like that, I'd be concerned. And the reason why is because this response is not really an answer to my question, but the one who's speaking to me thinks it is. Right? So my question is, let's back up a little bit. So it says here, it says there's also deductive reasoning. That's what a person might say after I argue with him about the point that he has no observation, and no one does. So he might shift to say, well, there's deductive reasoning. We can infer. And he's saying we can infer. Okay, so firstly, I'm not going to let not you, but anyone, I'm not going to let my opponent get out of my question first. He has to submit first, and then we can move to the next point. So I'm going to say to him, so Are you disregarding observation or not? He's going to say no. Here you have no. So he's not disregarding observation. Okay, so then we're still here. We're still at observation. We didn't get to deductive reasoning yet. So if you're not disregarding observation, then what part does observation play in something that you can't observe or that you've never observed? What part does observation play in something that you've never even observed? All right, but so then you continued. You said it's just that the globe is great, and that, in fact, when in space, observation is granted through satellite surveillance. Okay, so then I would say, what do you have from the satellites? 99% chance he has 0. That's the person you're debating with, who swears up and down he's right. He swears up and down he's right and doesn't have a reference, a lick of a reference. And just for me to ask, what do you have from those satellites? He thinks that I'm a fool for asking him that. He's the one who brought it up, and I'm not allowed to challenge him on it because it's supposed to be granted. According to him, it's granted. Does he think that? I must think that he's a fool for bringing that up, talking space satellites, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. So, when in fact observation is granted through satellite surveillance. So what do you have? He won't have anything 99% of the time. But let's say he has something. What he will have, and this I'm telling you from experience. This is not my guessing because I've had this debate. What he will have, and I've researched also, what he will have is photographs. That's the most he'll have. If he has any video, then the earth will not be moving in any video he has. And if it seems that the earth is moving, it's because it's the satellite that's moving, the satellite that's recording the video, not the earth itself. So that's the only thing he's going to have. And he has, number 1, 0 observation of rotation or revolution. Number 2, 0 video footage of rotation or revolution. 0. So then, here came the question. So the still photos, are they accurate? Are the still photos accurate? Still photo means like, if I took a picture of my wall, it's just there, it's not going anywhere. Are the still photos accurate? So, they might be or they might not be. Let's say they are, because even if they are, they don't even prove, they don't prove anything. It's just a photograph of the ground. In other words, all they're doing is taking a photograph of the ground. Or of the surface, like maybe the ocean, maybe the continents. And they don't have a photo of the complete earth also. They have no video of rotation or revolution. They have no photo of the complete earth. Zero. So, here's where a person has a problem. After what I've just said, he's not convinced. Why? Because there's deductive this and scientists that and while our religion taught us not to think this way. The religion is easy. And religion taught us to take an easy approach to things. From in the beginning, I just talked to the person with stuff that's easy for any human being to understand. Anyone. He has no answer for anything on the most fundamental, easy, basic ABC level. My argument here is understandable to a 10-year-old. He has no answer for any of that, and he's still not convinced because he thinks that, well, we still have deductive stuff. All right, we can come to that, though. So, then it says, in regards to understanding our own theology about the structure of the earth is why I'm asking. Okay, yes. He said, so my question to you was, a still photo proves what? Now, I know that a still photo doesn't prove anything. So if my opponent answered me, when I ask him that, I'm actually expecting him to be stuck. I didn't ask that question to get an answer. I asked that question to stick you. You are just the example. My opponent, I would ask him that to stick him, because I know that the still photo doesn't prove anything. So I would say, what does the still photo prove? So if he said to me, it would prove the possibility of the rotation of the earth is highly plausible. Right here, I'm going to be concerned in my debate, because now I know I'm talking to a person who basically doesn't know what he's talking about. Because a still photograph, basically like a picture that could be a map, for example, like a weather picture. You know how they show you the weather and they show you here's this continent and this continent, here's the ocean, and here's the hurricane coming onto the coast. Just like those pictures don't prove that the earth is moving, the other pictures wouldn't prove that the earth is moving. So those still photos don't prove anything. So if he were to say that, I would say to myself, now I'm debating with the person who doesn't put facts together well. Yeah, I asked for a follow-up. Okay, you were stuck. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. Yani, don't get me wrong. So all of this, I'm just saying to benefit, so we can benefit, about like some strategies in debate. You don't want to debate with a person who can't reason. That's the meaning of what the scholars said when they said, when I debate with an ignorant person, I lose. And when I debate with a knowledgeable person, I win. If I was having this debate with someone and a long time ago, several questions back, he already conceded, I would believe that he's smart. I say, this guy is clever. He got it already. He's not trying to fight me because he understands. I mean, Wafiq. Because of the shape of the earth facilitates that, i.e. the theory of the earth revolving. So, okay, we got through that. So barakallahu fikum, that was good. Let me go back here. You said, how can I refute someone who claims that Darwin theory is true? Same thing. So that's never even been observed. That's an approach that I would take personally. I would say that's something that hasn't even been observed. And then they're going to try to argue with you about how it was observed. They'll say, no, Darwin, he went to the island, he saw the canaries. Some of them had blunt beaks, and some of them had pointy, sharp beaks, and some of them had... Okay, he never observed any evolution. He observed that different types of canaries, or whatever those birds were, had different shapes in their beaks. And from there, he concluded. He didn't observe anything. And that's the same thing that people do for evolution in general. They never observed a thing. So what do? They take all of what they use to gather clues and they put that in the station of observation. So they say, oh no, evolution is observed. We've got the DNA. We've got the fossil records. We've got the this. We've got that. We've got I don't know what. And when we put it all together, we are certain. And none of that is observation, actually. He's believing his own lie. He wants it to be true. Well, mashallah, that lesson was quite exhilarating, and I was doubtful at first. I said, I don't know, we talk about Wahhabis all the time. But alhamdulillah, we got some nice benefits there. We have more like that. I think that's really the strength of this document here, to show the ego. How does the ego work in the debate? Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.